Most people are not stupid. This is true. But there is one group of people who are genuinely stupid. They somehow have convinced people that they're geniuses, but alas, they're confident fools. I call these people billionaires. This next take is one that I not only don't hear from conservatives or liberals, but also people that predominantly agree with me. Be honest. How many times have you heard someone point to someone they disagree with and say, God, they're so stupid, or God damn, those people are so stupid? You've heard liberals and progressives say it about MAGA. You've heard MAGA say it right back to them. So if everyone thinks everyone else is stupid, then who's right? Well, neither side. First off, to the extent there are sides, it is completely superficial. Second, who is right is irrelevant if everyone thinks the other side is stupid. Yes, I can point to MAGA and say that their ideas about fixing grocery prices by illegally detaining immigrants and really just any person south of white, or their ideas about blaming trans people for existing, is at best misguided. At worst, it's helping fuel a level of evil we as Americans haven't seen since the Mustache Man. But let's remember a few key things here. Everyone lives in a bubble. Our system is so enveloped that your politics will likely be chosen by your geographical birthplace. If you are from Chicago, you are likely a liberal. Your parents voted Democrat. You really wish Hillary Clinton would have smashed that so elusive glass ceiling. Your friends growing up all repeated their parents' talking points about how great Obama was as president. The news stations your parents watched was CNN or MSNBC, maybe ABC. But let's flip that. I saw firsthand how in conservative areas the same is true. At my first, former, and final employer, I went to a work trip in Ohio. We were scouting a local bar with the competition's gambling product. I was the one mildly black guy probably within a 20-mile radius. This was a grungy biker bar. The second I walked in, Fox News was predominantly displayed on nearly every screen except the sports TVs. Then I realized something. If you grew up in this small town in Ohio, this is all you've ever known. The Republicans want to kick out evil brown guy for stealing your money and fucking your wife. The Democrats want to give the healthcare you don't have to trans people in prisons. And also they're Nazis, and also somehow communists. And of course communism equals Mega Satan Hitler. So I ask, if you grew up in a place where everyone around you generally has the same ideas about politics, the same set of misinformation and disinformation, how could you possibly know any better without being exposed consistently to different viewpoints? This is infamously where colleges come in to shatter people's illusions about how everyone is. Those damn liberal institutions teaching my kids facts and shit. I'm reminded of Plato's Allegory of the Cave. Real quick if you don't know it. These people grew up in a cave, only seeing shadows on a wall. They think the shadows are reality because it's all they've ever known. And when someone finally escapes and sees the real world, the sunlight, the truth, comes back to tell everyone, they don't believe him. They get angry at him for challenging the only reality they've ever known. The difference now, however, is that under capitalism, our bubble has been privatized. Your opinions are sold back to you as truth. They're reinforced daily by exploitative algorithms, the media, old and new, as well as structurally reinforced through education and culture. Let's also remember empathy here. These people we call stupid on the right, they are victims of the same rotten system that you are. The difference is, some amount of experiences or privileges you had exposed you to something you believe is better. Had you not been exposed to these very different viewpoints, you would have remained as you were, or worse, slipped down a conservative rabbit hole because let's be honest, right-wing pundits and politicians don't give a shit about who thinks what and why. They've been trying to reach out to anybody and everybody for decades. And on that front, they have us socialists and communists and even liberals massively beat. So let's use our empathy here. Imagine you're a white guy from buttfuck Wyoming. Your society has told you that unless you can materially output for yourself and your family, your value is less than nothing. You've isolated yourself so you have no family. You work a minimum wage job that pays nothing. Now I know some of you are thinking, oh, poor white guy. But I'm sure the white guys will be fine. And that's exactly the problem. You have inherited the divisive tactics of the only real enemy there is, the billionaires and the ultra-rich. And guess what? John White Guy from Buttfuck, Wyoming, he's heard your take his whole life. He's not sympathetic to it. How could he be? Why would he be? So it's no surprise then when a predatory male like Andrew Tate comes along and says, "Get in the gym, buddy. Practice personal hygiene. Save up some money and one day you can be just like me. Oh, and by the way, all women are whores." That John White Guy listens to. He trusts this guy. He's shown him the only care and attention to his desires he's ever received. So now, he'll buy into whatever bullshit dudes like Andrew Tate feed him.
If you're an ugly guy, you better get a good job and make some money, because nobody's gonna want to talk to you.
Girls, I will destroy you.
You don't deserve to get laid at all!
Again, most of you would stop there and go, well, screw that guy, he's too far gone. But he wasn't initially, and more importantly, he may not be now. People like John White Guy are being fed passionate bullshit. Our side can offer that same passion as well as truth. Our side can actually help this guy. Ignorance is a simple but often loaded term. Understand that when I say ignorance here, I mean it literally. I don't mean it as a stand-in for stupid or misbehave. I literally mean ignorant. Ignorance being the lack of knowledge. I am ignorant to the personal details of you, the viewer's life, just as you are of mine. I'm also ignorant of what's happening on Mars right now. I have no clue. The scale doesn't matter, the information doesn't matter. The point is that we all are ignorant of information, all of us. The degree of which varies, but only slightly in the grand scheme of the universe. But in practical human terms, I've learned it varies greatly in all aspects of life. Ignorance is often associated with the bubble you live in. All of us live in one. Yes, me and even you. This fosters the illusion of stupidity because you cannot see your bubble and thus assume that all the information you have been given, everyone has been given. I'm sure you've heard, how can MAGA believe this when they know Trump did X?
The thing that I will never wrap my mind around is, I don't know why these people can't get it through their heads. These people don't care about you. They don't give a fuck about you.
A few moments later.
There's always that back and forth conversation now. It's like, you knew this was coming, but we didn't. Like, nobody that I've talked to understood the devastation that having this administration in office would do to our lives.
Well, that's the thing. They don't know. To the extent that they've even ever heard what you've heard, it is immediately shot down by consistently reinforced propaganda from their own bubble. The greatest tool of empire is division. John White Guy is the product of a loneliness pandemic, lack of community, and systemic economic despair. Therefore, it is no surprise that his bubble turns his inner desire for more, something many socialists have too, into a hateful seed of lies. If we do not reach out to people in love, then not only is it easier to turn to hate, it's the only option they believe they have. The left has fallen for the illusion of division. In doing so, we weaponize it against ourselves and turn people away. I think socialists understand this better than liberals, yet we often turn people off with jargon no one understands.
Marxism is just a theory on how commodity production works under a capitalist organization of the economy, how we have evolved under the Industrial Revolution and onwards to have our current capitalist production, commodity production.
Blah 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 surplus value. Just say profit. Jesus Christ. Liberals, however, draw a strict line in the sand, but they draw it in obscure places and it comes with no empathy for those who disagree. Should there be a litmus test? Abso-fucking-lutely. If you're pro-genocide and pro-corruption, effort it would take to convince you otherwise is an inefficient use of your time and energy. Should we protect trans people and immigrants? No shit. But if someone who clearly hasn't thought too deeply about these things timidly comes to you and parrots their opinions about trans people, being kind of unfair to everyone, this is exactly the type of person you need to talk to. They're not concrete in their opinion. They're reaching out to see how you respond.
What would you like to see happen in the Bronx to lower grocery prices and combat food deserts?
I'm not really familiar with economics on how to make prices lower. I would like to vote for Eric Adams. I think he has the right idea. Listen, I don't think Mandami is just a good choice. Communism, socialism has never worked. If we live in a communist state, you won't be able to speak out against communists, won't you?
We're kind of approaching that right now, and we're in some full-blown capitalism right now. You get people getting deported because they wrote an essay criticizing Israel.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Really, that's horrible. I think that's terrible. I agree with you on that. That's horrible.
If it comes with scorn and judgment, then the conversation is over. You have inadvertently flipped someone against you who otherwise might have come to reason. They would not reach out to you in the first place if they didn't trust your opinion in some way. Now, there are certainly trolls. They're easy to detect. But if you're casually talking to your cousin or uncle or friend, it is your duty to competently, respectfully, and persuasively, yes, persuasively, convince them of your beliefs. Now, most people are not stupid. This is true. But there is one group of people who are genuinely stupid. They somehow have convinced people that they're geniuses, but alas, they're confident fools. I call these people billionaires. Think about it. If you had $100 billion, kids and grandkids, would you, A, determine that you want to protect their future and thus create a world in which someday they could maybe live a better life even than you? Or B, make $1 more billion to see line go up while the planet remains on fire and New York and Florida disappear? Well, a stupid person would pick B. Billionaires picked B. And yes, they too are a product of their circumstances, but they cannot be allowed to rule as they have, leading with stupidity. If you understand that ignorance is the core of many people's beliefs, a lot more doors open up. If the masses are stupid, then what are we even fighting for? They'll never understand you just as you'll never understand them. But if you believe that everyone is ignorant, then the method turns from hopelessness to strategy. Right now, people are overwhelmed with a barrage of information every second of every day. This information stranglehold is an invisible resource that we must reclaim. And it begins at home. Talk to your parents. Trust me, you'll hear some dog shit opinions, but do not judge. You would believe exactly as they did had you lived their life. I will make a video about how to talk to people about differing opinions, but understand that the goal is not debate. The goal is to ensure you understand their point of view completely, and that they understand yours completely. If you do, they will have cognitive dissonance. They'll begin to think, you know, I think Elon Musk deserves his billions of dollars, he earned it. But if he's consistently making profit year after year, why do I keep hearing stories about mass layoffs? This cognitive dissonance is a small seed that you've implanted in them, but a seed must be nurtured. If you stop with one conversation, they'll just turn on the news and hear a story about a Tesla factory that was spray painted by some hoodlum employees, and boom, seed dead. But if you reinforce your beliefs consistently, it will land, I promise you. This will require extreme patience, and I mean extreme. Some people may not be worth the time, but that's okay. Most people don't do anything. So if your points don't land in a reasonable amount of time, then that person simply isn't ready yet. Your task is to find people who are open to your ideas, but more importantly, passive people who might turn their thoughts into action. If we can do all that, we will have birthed tiny ripples of change that compound upward into massive acts of revolution. If you want to see more videos like this, more philosophy, more politics, more unlearning the bullshit we were all raised with, I make these videos every week. If that sounds like your lane, stick around. And remember, a better tomorrow is possible. Thanks for watching.